If you've ever been told to just stop lifting because of pain, that advice is dead wrong. And I'm going to show you why. So, traditional rehab, it often treats people, lifters in particular, like they're fragile, right? It treats them no different than, your Aunt Betty Sue who had a total knee replacement. All she does is sit in front of the TV, cuss at the news. She's pissed off about everything, and she just pets her cat all day, right? A lot of times, that's the kind of rehab that lifters are getting. But that is not the kind of rehab that's going to keep you in the gym, lifting, progressing the way you want to, and keeping the muscle and strength that you've already built. So, that's one of the biggest problems I see. Okay. So, it's not even like traditional PT's fault. It's the education around physical therapy and it's the insurance companies, right? Lifters are kind of a special population, and PT school, at least mine, and the ones that I know about, they don't treat very many lifters. They treat the general person. But general person PT is not going to be good for a lifter like you who wants to constantly put new numbers on the board. They want to constantly improve the aesthetics. They want to be able to throw their kids around, go hiking, do all those things. Little tabletop exercises aren't going to get you back to doing the things that you want to do. So, some of the biggest flaws that I see in traditional rehab, they treat the pain, not the movement. That's huge. Okay, so we'll get into this in a little bit, but a lot of times when I have someone who has knee pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, back pain, whatever, chances are it's not coming from that joint. It's coming from something in a movement that you're doing. So if you have knee pain with squat, we're typically not seeing the knee being the issue. We're seeing something in the ankle, we're seeing something in the hip, maybe even in your shoulders because, your shoulders are super tight and it's pitching you forward. We need to look at the movement, not just the area that's hurting. If we only treat the area that's hurting, we're just band-aiding things, right? We're not actually getting to the root cause. Another problem I see is that they rely on passive treatments. Ice, e-stim, heat, scraping, dry needling, cupping, all these things. While they can be good and while they can be useful, it doesn't do anything to actually fix the problem, right? It's just some feel-good stuff. It's band-aid stuff, in my opinion. And honestly, you need something different than that. You need some mobility, you need some strengthening, you need all these things that's going to actually help you, again, work on the movement, not just mask the symptoms, okay? Another problem that I see is that they tell lifters to stop lifting instead of modifying the lifts, figuring out why the lifts are bothering them in the first place. The go-to solution is, well, if it hurts, just don't do it. Well, my problem with that is if we have someone who has knee pain going up and down stairs, we're totally fine to fix that, right? We're willing to figure that out. We don't just tell the person, hey, I know your bedroom's on the second floor, but like, let's just stop doing that. Okay. You need to sleep on the couch. Like, we don't do that. We figure out what's going on. And so for me, it's crazy that like, if you're having pain with lifting, it's the first thing out of people's mouths are, well, hey, if it hurts, just stop doing it. Like, you don't need to do it. That's just not how we're wired, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I need the gym. Otherwise, I'm a horrible person to be around. So it just doesn't work. And lastly, one of my other problems is there's no real loading going on. I think we're finally getting to this phase a little bit. It's still not very common, but I am seeing more PTs start to load. They're starting to be more aware of like how important strengthening is. But really, in probably like 95% of clinics, there's not really any loading going on. Like nobody's loading up a squat, nobody's doing a deadlift, heck, nobody's even using kettlebells or anything like that. And so we really need to see this real loading going on because if you stop doing the lifts, you're losing strength and you're likely going to just get discharged back into the gym. And what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to see if you've lost any strength, which you probably have. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to piss things off again. And so we really need to see PTs that actually do some real loading. A lot of PTs don't lift, which means they don't understand how dynamic certain movements are. And this isn't just like specific to PTs, right? This is specific to orthopedic surgeons, um, other doctors like your primary care doctor, chiropractors, massage therapists. Like a lot of these people don't lift. And so they don't understand how dynamic certain movements are, right? So, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, knee pain isn't necessarily caused by the knee when you're having pain squatting, deadlifting, doing Olympic weightlifting movements, right? Knee pain could be coming from, again, the ankles, the hips, the shoulders. It can be coming from a bunch of different things. That's why we need to actually look at the movement itself that's causing pain. We need to actually get to the root of the issue so that we can fix it. Otherwise, you're going to fail rehab because you're just masking symptoms. You're just band-aiding things. You're just trying to treat something without actually getting to the source of the issue. So, yeah, that pain's going to come back if you don't actually address that. So, I want to know, has a PT, chiropractor, any kind of doctor, have they told you to stop lifting? If so, drop a yes in the comments. I would imagine that there's going to be a lot here, which is unfortunate, right? Like, we should be finding ways to help you as a lifter, as a high performer, stay in the gym, right? It's like there's just really no other way around that. So, for me, all the reasons I listed above, those are why I think a lot of lifters are failed by traditional rehab, by the medical model. But here's how I've helped 400 plus lifters by taking a completely different approach. So I call it the pain-free performance method. It's a 3-step method, and it's left me with over 90% success rate in people who are having pain. They show up, they do the work, right? It's as simple as that. So first step is the root cause formula. So again, just like what I've said in this entire video, we want to figure out why you're actually having pain. We don't want to just say, oh, hey, like my knee hurts, let's just treat the knee, right? We want to get a personalized movement assessment going to pinpoint the exact issue that's causing your pain. I've had people who, they've had the most wild causes, but we actually attacked the cause, the root cause, and we actually eliminated the problem from popping back up, okay? Whereas if we just treat the symptoms, if we're just band-aiding things, like that pain is really going to come back. And so again, I can't stress how important it is to have this root cause figured out, assessed, and just attacked and eliminated. So what we want to do in this first step is look at the joints. We want to see what's going on dynamically. So that means, hey, if you're having pain with squats, let's look at squats. Let's go ahead and look at other movements too and see if there's anything that, maybe we can say, oh, hey, this looks different, but this looks normal, or this looks like it should. It's going to help us just tease out, the more data we can get, the more we can tease out what's actually going on. So we don't want to guess. We don't want to do any of that. We want to actually use data to back this up. We want to use movement assessments so that we can get laser focused on attacking the problems and moving forward to eliminate this from ever happening again. The second step, this is its own set of things, but this second step is the pain eliminator matrix. Try to say that 5 times fast. It doesn't work. So this is a phased approach that ensures long-term success with my clients. So we're going to kind of quickly go over it. I don't want to spend a ton of time. There'll be another video on this. But first phase, we have to extinguish the pain, right? We want to find the things that allow you to experience relief. That way we can keep moving while we're addressing the issue. Pain's not getting in the way. And this is a super important step or phase because as we start pushing, right, there are going to be times that we push a little too much, right? We're finding where that balance is of like, hey, let's make sure you're loaded, but also let's not overload you too much. And so if we do push and things do get cranky for whatever reason, we have these movements to fall back on. And so this is something that really allows us to push, get strength, build strength, hit new PRs, but also like manage the pain. Okay. Second phase in this step is to stabilize and mobilize. So I like to hit the mobility stuff first, if it's needed, and then I like to go in with the stability work. So the reason that I order it in that way is because if you think of like those bros at the gym who are doing the bicep curls like this, you're not you're not really doing a whole lot, right? So the same thing is true if we're trying to open up your shoulder or your hip or whatever. We want to go in, get all the range of motion that we can with the mobility work, and then we go in and do the stability work. So for me, that just helps to rebuild the foundation of the pain-free movement. It allows us to hit things in the correct order. We want to also use that new motion that we just got, start to strengthen it so that it actually sticks around and you don't have to just constantly hit mobility work after mobility work after mobility work. Okay. The third phase in this is strengthen. So this is going to be the progressive overloading to help rebuild the confidence. Confidence is one of the last things to come back when you've dealt with a pain or injury for, more than a couple weeks. So we want to rebuild that confidence. We want to rebuild the exercise capacity. And then we want to start getting into the performance, which is our last step in this whole sequence. So we want to perform. We want to return to your peak performance. We want to do so with resilience. We want to make sure that, you're actually getting stronger. You're back to baseline. You're surpassing your baseline and you feel not only stronger, but more resilient than ever. And then that way, we're really preventing any future setbacks. Okay. So I really believe that active problems require active solutions. And what works for Aunt Brenda or Aunt Betty Sue, who sits in the chair, cusses at the TV, freaking pets her cat, and just have total knee replacement, is not going to be the same rehab that works for you as a lifter, putting hundreds of pounds on your back. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with clients over the years who've had knee pain and, again, not coming from the knee at all. Or clients who have shoulder pain and it's coming from some kind of tightness in their mid back. I actually had a client who, his name's Austin. He's a Olympic weightlifter, strong dude. He's also a strength and conditioning coach and an Olympic weightlifting coach for one of the colleges. Smart dude, very data driven. He hit me up. He was like, "Hey, I have no idea what's going on. I've tried X, Y, Z, can't figure it out." So we were talking, and we actually found out that his problem was coming from his hips and his ankles being super tight. So what led us to this was that, hey, like, tell me what's up. Tell me when you're feeling it. Okay. I feel it in a snatch. My shoulder kills me in a snatch. Got it. Okay. So then a little later on in the conversation, we were talking about power snatch. And thankfully we did, because this helped us to like really solidify what was going on. So he said something about power snatches feeling good. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, do power snatches always feel good and snatches always feel like crap? He sat back and was like, yeah, actually, like power snatch, I never have problems with. A couple things came to mind. One, it could be the loading. And so we talked about that. Okay. If you did 80% of your snatch on a power snatch and 80% on a snatch, is it going to feel different? The answer was yes. So it wasn't load dependent, right? So the second thing that came to mind was like, in a power snatch, you're not getting into that full squat position. And so I was like, okay, is there anything else like that you feel that on? And there were a couple movements, but that essentially just having that designation, knowing the difference as a lifter between a snatch and a power snatch, it helped to unlock what was going on with Austin. And so we worked on improving the ankle and hip range of motion. And then, because we were already working, we focused on the other areas that would help with healthy shoulders after we attacked the ankle and hip. So what I like to do with my programs is if someone's having a lot of pain or a lot of like quote unquote dysfunction, I like to hit it with a lot of frequency. I don't want to focus on anything else except getting that lined out. And so we smoked the ankles and the hips by doing a lot of mobility stuff, a lot of stability work, and then we started focusing on the other areas that helped with healthy shoulders. The reason being is there was nothing going on with the shoulders other than just the pain that he was feeling. There wasn't any underlying problem in the shoulders. However, knowing his goals and knowing what he wants to do, we wanted to make sure that the shoulders were going to stay healthy. And so, we focused on all the other areas. For shoulders, I like to look at mid back, I like to look at shoulder blades, and then I like to look at the shoulder itself. So, if you're a lifter dealing with pain, the key is not stopping. It's getting to the root of your issues, finding ways to train and maximize what you're doing in the gym. Again, active problems require active solutions. So, if you're not sure where to start to attack the root, if you're not even sure, like, Caitlin, I'm so confused, like, on what's going on. I don't know where my pain's coming from. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. It's at Beyond Recovery PRS, and we'll get you set up with an assessment so that we can actually figure out what's going on. We can get you training. We can keep you in the gym, which is so important. And I think this is just important for anybody, but especially if you have a meet coming up, or if you are training for something in particular, we want to keep you in the gym training so that you don't lose ground on everything that you've worked so hard for. So if you're not sure where to start, if you want to figure out what the heck is going on, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Tell me that you watched this video, and I'll get you hooked up with an assessment so that we can actually figure out how to keep you in the gym, how to keep this from being an issue for the long term. Yeah, that's what I got. Drop any questions down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stick around.